Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome back to Scatter Love Tarot with your girl coming at you with another pick a card reading. We are all here sharing this human experience together. This is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. And we do things differently here on this channel. So with that being said, if the message does resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There is no obligation to force it to fit. And also, keeping in mind, triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If you are interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box below. And today, your time and your presence are a true gift and a blessing. So with that, the question we're asking today is what was going on behind your back? This was a channeled message that I got. And really quickly, I just want to tap in before we get into our prayer and everything, is that there's been a lot of anger across the collective. And I feel like this reading definitely brought that forward. There is a lot of hurt and a lot of betrayal that's happening right now. And not really sure how to handle that or how to move forward from that. And I feel like that is going to be something that is addressed in today's reading. So really, as we move forward today, keeping an open mind and an open heart, and we'll see what comes through for you. So let's hop to the prayer and we'll get that underway, and then we'll go ahead and get into your reading. All right, my beloved source, this prayer is for anyone and everyone who comes onto this reading, whether it's for the entire time or for a moment's time. There's this heavy, heavy energy across the collective right now. I feel like there's a lot of guilt and shame in feeling anger towards a situation or towards another person or towards a group of people. But also there's that anger that's just holding on and wanting to lash out and wanting to bite back. And today I ask that you bring us into this space of peace and allowance. That anger is not a bad emotion to feel. That it's a part of our purpose and our journey for a reason. It's part of what makes us human. And to feel anger is a normal and natural part of this journey. But sometimes we get so lost in wanting things to be only positive and never experiencing the negative. And when anger arises, we feel as though we've done something wrong. But we have not. We've only been reacting or responding to the situations that are outside of our control, and helping us to come into a mindset of embracing and accepting this so that we can let go of the hold that it has over us, so that we can re-enter a state of grounded peace and grounded balance. So this time, whatever emotions are arising across the collective, if they're positive, if they're negative, that no matter what it is, we are all brought to this space of allowance and acceptance for what is, and knowing that it is as it should be. As these words are spoken upon this collective and onto this tribe, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Aseh. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. All right. And today I really felt called to using the Lantern Oracle. We're going to get into the nitty gritty and see what it is. And I just want to point out that this reading is not directed towards a person or a situation. It's going to be up to what source wants to bring through per each reading. So this could be either or both involved, but let's go ahead and shuffle and see what comes through. All right. What was going on behind your back? Yeah, there's definitely a lot of sticky energy today. That's okay. What was going on behind your back? Source, how would you like to address this reading today? What oracle cards are going to help us better understand this message? What was going on behind your back? Okay, thank you. What was going on behind your back? All right, pile number 1. What oracle card is going to help us better understand what was going on behind your back? For pile number 1, Source. What was going on behind your back, pile number 1? What was going on behind your back? Thank you. All right. Pile number 2. What was going on behind your back? Source, what oracle card is going to help us better understand this message today? Thank you. All right, pile 3. What was going on behind your back? Source, what oracle card is going to help us better understand this message today? Pile 3. What was going on behind your back? Thank you. All right, collective energy. Yeah. I'm not surprised that this card came out at all. We have emotional energy. Emotions are messengers to be met with appropriate attention, action, and gratitude. And I was talking about that, and I love how this came out for the collective message because it totally is in alignment with the feeling I was having before I even started this reading. The anger and the hurt and the betrayal and even the resentment and the grudge and the want to get revenge is coming out. And the just even wanting to be seen can sometimes lead us to taking actions that we might regret later. And remembering that there's nothing wrong with you if that's something that's coming through. And I feel like that's something that we need to address in the spiritual community as well. It's like we're also focused on having this positive experience that we forget to be human means to experience the whole of this life and the whole of this realm, which is sometimes things are just going to happen to us outside of our control that are going to create upsets in our day-to-day lives. And that is for us to sit with those emotions as they arise, whether they are positive or seemingly negative. If we're not allowing ourselves the opportunity to feel what it is that we're feeling when we get mad or upset or we're feeling depressed and down and we're saying, oh, we have to fight back with positive energy. All we're doing is saying that we're putting a Band-Aid on it, right? We're not sitting with this emotion as it's arising and asking, what are you here to tell me? Not even teach you, just what do you have to say? Giving that emotion a voice and an opportunity to express itself is how we go through it. We're not trying to learn anything from it. We're just trying to understand that it has a voice that needs to be heard. Just the same as you have a voice that needs to be heard. It's not about a lesson that you're bringing to others. It's not about this happened for purpose or this, that, and the other, as much as it is opening up and saying, what is the expression that you need today in this moment? And that's what this feels like. And that's how the collective at this time, you're going to be able to free yourself from a really shoddy situation. There's something terrible that happened, whether that's with a job or with family or at home or with people that you care about or with acquaintances or with people that you're just around every day because we work with people every day. Whatever the situation may be, there's always going to be things that are outside of our control, and there will always be things that happen in life that are not going to be 100% positive, happy-go-lucky, wondrous, worth celebrating. Why? Because that's what this realm is. It's the contrast. There's the light and the shadow, and that's the contrast. The good and the seemingly bad. That is the contrast. Right? That's how it works here. That's the balance. And we've somehow convinced ourselves along the way that any negative emotion, whether that is anger, hatred, resentment, anything like that, we've somewhere along the way convinced ourselves that we're not allowed to feel these emotions when it's actually the most normal, natural state of us experiencing life. We're naturally going to go through envious stages, jealous stages, obsessions. We're going to go through it all. And there's nothing wrong with us if something like that does arise. And I feel like that's why this reading came up today, because there's an energy that needs to be addressed, not nurtured, addressed, and not also given into either. I feel like this is something that it's when we address it, we face it head on, right? We're saying, I'm ready to face this part of myself and accept it, that it is a part of me, that I can extract revenge, or that I can come up with some crazy plans to hurt people, or, whatever the situation is. And I feel like those are things that are valid on our journey, is like, we're saying, oh, I would never treat somebody like that. Maybe you wouldn't outright treat somebody like that, but we also have to acknowledge those thoughts that we have within us. We're human. Every person has those thoughts. It's going to happen. Why? Because we all have the emotional ego that wants what it wants, whatever that is at that moment, whatever it is that it's convinced us it needs at that moment. And so no matter how positive a person you are, at some point in time, we've had really negative thoughts about other people in our lives. And we feel bad about that. And that also starts to fuel that emotion that we don't want to face. And we end up burying that under this ridiculous mountain. And we're saying, oh, as long as I just dust it under the carpet, I'll never have to focus or face that. But unfortunately, it begins to fester and it begins to grow and it begins to turn into this outrageous internal dialogue and monster within us that we have a hard time controlling, and that we begin to get controlled by without realizing it. And that's why this is coming up. And so this is a really deep for a collective reading to come in, but the energy is very clear. Okay, so let's see what this says from the book with number 25. Emotion is energy. Exactly. Each emotion vibrates somewhere different along the spectrum of high to low frequency. The positive emotions have a higher energetic frequency and they are light and vibrant. The uncomfortable or negative emotions have a slower energetic frequency. They are denser and therefore heavier. Calm is neutral and located at the center of the spectrum. It is our optimal homeostatic setting and the equilibrium to which our bodies seek to return in response to any deviation, good or bad. Uncomfortable emotions that we neglect can potentially result in unhealthy suppression or outbursts of reactive behavior. There's a plane going over. And thoughts that take us in circles that spiral downward. These are the frequent and unfortunate consequences to inaccurately thinking that some emotions are bad. Oh my gosh, thank you for this confirmation, source. That some emotions are bad, wrong, or without value. Knowing how our emotional life either propels us forward, sets us off course, or becomes a stagnating force is integral to learning how to use them for empowerment. Emotions are, by nature's design, our necessary frontier allies. Their roles are to assist us in surviving and thriving. However, until we work effectively with them, the second remains an unrealistic potential, an unrealized potential. The message our emotions communicate to us is important and worthy of being made a priority, right? They need an expression. They need to tell us something. They are the bodies, which is part of the unconscious way of thinking to you. When we adequately engage with our emotions, they can function as the keys that revitalize the healthy flow of our vital life force. It is when we neglect how we feel that emotions become the oppressive confusion and inaction that suspends us. Our emotions and their stories require us to know them so that we understand their context. Knowing the meaning and significance that each emotion's backstory holds is necessary for deciphering the coded language that they speak and the core needs to be met in our present. Essentially, emotions are the gateway to our inner child. They need our time, patience, and adequate caretaking to work their alchemy in our life. If you are not yet particularly attuned to your emotions, now is the time to become so. Start by frequently checking in with how you feel, making a note of it in your journal at least 3 times a day, including notes on what you are doing, what you are thinking, your location, and the individuals in your company. After a week of recording these aspects, look at your answers, color code your emotions to notice the pattern and themes. Take the dominant emotion that you've experienced over the week and invite it to write you a letter. Invite the emotion to write you a letter. See, giving it an option to express itself. Place the hand that you do not write with over your heart and jot down what the emotion has to say. Then write a letter back with compassion and gratitude toward the message the emotion has given to you. You may also wish to write a letter to a desired emotion that is either absent or was not as dominant in your week that you would have liked. Once this is done, have it write you a letter back. Feel the full potential that emotions have to transform the way you experience life. Make this journal exercise a regular and ongoing practice. The featured guardian's emotion maturity shines from her as white light. She has learned to master her emotions by creatively directing their energy into realizing her desire. She has shown up to assure you that your emotions will work in your favor once you become aware of and respond appropriately to their message. Guardian's message says shooting the emotional messengers for containing news that you do not like or want is as effective as shooting yourself in the foot over the need for a new pair of shoes. The job of emotions is to help you navigate your way safely and successfully through life. Let them. Wow, what a very powerful message to come through as the collective energy. And just on a side note too, that's something that I got a journal at one point. It was 2 years ago when I started doing this for myself and recording my emotions. I got a journal that actually came with an emotional tracker. And it became such a regular part of my life that now when I journal, I usually just journal in a spiral notebook. Sometimes I'll get a fancy journal, but most of the time it's just a spiral notebook from the store, just one of those college rules, 90 pages or whatever. Nothing too fancy, but I gotten into such a habit of tracking my emotions that now I do an overall emotion for the day. And if I notice certain ones that stick out, I'll write that down too. But I have a pack of markers that I use specifically for this. And I put a square and I start off and writing down what my emotion is. So like red is obviously anger or discontent or outbursts or something like that. I have green for like stoicism and unruly behavior, white for peaceful and neutral, and yellows for like happy, orange is for like feeling out of sorts. I have, everyone has its own color, and I have a little coded thing at the beginning of my journal that I use. And so like blue is for feeling depressed or down and out. And you don't have to use those colors for those things. It's like just learning how to find a way to express your emotion. But you could even write it in colored pen, right? Like having a group of pens that are colored and writing each day in that colored pen just to give you something to physically see. Okay, like, oh, I wrote in blue on this day, so I was really down and out on this day. Or I wrote in pink on this day and I felt really creative and connected today, So those are just ways to give your emotions a visible sight recognition so they can feel expressed. And it's amazing how much that helps, right? So what a powerful, powerful message to come through. All right. So wasn't planning on the collective message to take so long, but that's okay. It happens, and I'm here for source to channel through. So sometimes that's just the way it's going to be. All right. Now I did do a zodiac dice because I was called to do a zodiac dice, but there's no reason for, this is only for Cancers, or, if you feel drawn to it and you're not a Cancer, that's perfectly okay. It's just another option to choose from. Okay, so for pile number 1, I do have this dice with the Cancer zodiac on it. And if you just caught the pick from, this is just another option to pick from. It's not just for Cancerian people today. And if you are a Cancer and you're drawn to it, that's perfectly okay as well. All right, and we also have this piece of pyrite for you to choose from, or fool's gold, depending on what you want to call it. Pile number 2, we have this dice with Mars on it. Or we have this clamshell, or I guess it could be an oyster shell. Pile number 3, we have this dice with the 3rd house on it. Or we have this piece of amethyst for you to choose from. Okay, so we have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3, and whichever pile you feel called to, that should be the one for you, and I will see you over on your chosen pile. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Cancer on it, and if you're Cancer, that's great. It's not just for Cancers. This is just something extra to choose from. Or perhaps you were called to this piece of pyrite. Or maybe you were drawn to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be a reading on what was going on behind your back. We are all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. We do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, if the message resonates, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. There may be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. Remember, there's no obligation to force it to fit, and triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. And with that being said, today, know that your time and your presence are a true blessing and just a true blessing today. I don't know where I was going with that. It was so interesting. Okay, so thank you for being here. And with that, let's hop to it and find out what was going on behind your back. I would also like to point out what was going on behind your back, pile number 1. That if you did not, definitely check out the collective message. It was really, really in-depth, and there was just a lot of synchronicities that arose on the reading itself, and I feel like it's something that is definitely for all 3 piles today, so just pointing that out. It is timestamped in the description box below. So we have the 1st house, we have Scorpio energy, and we have Pluto. So you could have Scorpio highly aspect in your chart, some pretty benefic Pluto placements. I'm hearing Leo in Pluto is coming through as well, Aries in Pluto. You could have Scorpio and Mars, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. Cancer in Mars is coming through as well with Cancer rising. Okay, so that's what's coming through right off the bat. Let me focus on this. So what was going on behind your back? Here's the thing. You've been really working on yourself, okay? And I feel like with the dice, Source really wants to acknowledge the fact that you've been working on yourself. You've been getting rid of difficult emotions. You've been going through and doing shadow work. You have really been focusing on your internal growth and what that means to you, and doing what was necessary. But I also feel like in doing so, you've been surrounded by a lot of jealous people and a lot of envious people, people who have a problem with you being you. It's like maybe you were dimming your light at some point so that they felt more comfortable in their own discomfort. And that was creating a lot of tension between you and them. And so when you chose to step up and really focus on doing your internal work, you started transforming and taking back your power from a situation that you had maybe given your power away to begin with. And in doing so, now there are a lot of people who are trying to create drama, and they're very abrasive and very aggressive in the way that they're approaching you, because you're starting to really stand out among people, and people are starting to really recognize your gifts and your talents and your abilities to, create a positive environment and to create a much healthier atmosphere for yourself. And there are people who are not benefiting from this like they would have when you were in a lower vibration, where you switched off your light and you catered to them. And because of that, they're trying everything within their power to get back to that state of being on a pedestal. And for you, sources really acknowledge, care how much you've done, and wanting you to celebrate how far you've come and how much you've overcome very incredibly difficult situations. You really have purged, and you really have exposed a lot of people and situations for what they truly were at their core, and seeing that they did not resonate with you, nor was it meant to be a part of the future journey with you. And I feel like there's a lot of people here. I keep getting like actually two energies here. There's two very specific energies besides your energy that are coming through. I feel like there's two very specific energies coming in that really believed that you would be there for them no matter what. And you have really pulled away and focused on your own growth and your own evolution. And in turn, you've recognized that this is not something that I want in my life. And so that has made you become more of a rarity and a scarcity in their life. And they're clinging on for dear life. Like talons are out trying to cling on for dear life. And you are stepping away. Maybe one tiny step at a time, and some of you may be running away as fast as you possibly can. It's going to be different for everyone, but I do feel like this is something that has been a long time coming. A very long time coming. Okay, so we're going to get into it and find out what was going on behind your back, pile one. Source, what would you like to share with us? What was going on behind your back, pile one? Okay, thank you. What was going on behind your back? So we have family, specifically a father figure or grandfather coming in, or someone that could have been a Libra or Pisces or a Taurus energy is coming through. What was going on behind your back, pile one? Yeah. This is someone who felt good creating tension around you and watching how it affected you. Watching how it kept you from embracing your abundance and your light. But also they were very greedy. This is someone who wanted to keep you to themselves. It does feel like a person. It could be a situation. What was going on behind your back? Thank you, Source. On the bottom, yeah, we have the Seven of Cups in the reverse. Yeah, this is someone who had a problem with you setting emotional boundaries when you did, because they were so used to you not having an emotional boundary. So every time they created this dissonance between you and them, or they created a little bit of drama or a little bit of tension when you were younger, before you started to heal yourself and set solid boundaries for yourself, those moments could absolutely have bulldozed you over, and you would turn into an emotional wreck because of it. And they really were getting a huge kick out of that. They felt like they were on top of the world. I hear that song, sitting on top of the world, top of the world, top of the world, sitting on top of the world. Who is that by? Brandy and Aaliyah, I think. I'm not sure. I know it's a Brandy song for sure, because it's on that CD, Have You Ever? I love that song. It's such a good song. But yeah, it's Sitting on Top of the World, I think is the name. Or it's Top of the World by Brandy. I can't remember the exact name. But that's that feeling that they had, like when they could control the way that you felt, they felt like they were sitting on top of the world. And so what's going on behind your back is they're plotting and planning to try to get you back to this place of emotional unrest. and they're really going out of their way. So this could be them gossiping to people or them sharing stories with people that aren't true. It's them telling others how unfortunate you would have been if they hadn't have been there to save you from yourself. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So they're definitely playing up the hero card here with the world on the end. They are really playing up the hero card. They're like, oh, it's me. I'm the reason that pile number one even has a life. Like, if it weren't for me, they'd have been jobless, homeless. They would have been without food. They would have had nothing. This is someone who has started cycling back towards old individuals that they told those stories to, that eventually those people believed them. But here we have a problem. Once you start circling back and you don't remember the lies that you told, you start telling new lies. And there are people who are seeing them for what they are, what you've known and what you've picked up on. And I feel like even for you, it was really hard to see this person or these people, this situation as it was, because there's a part of you that held on to hope for so long that your growth would be enough to impact them in a positive way and help bring them towards the light. And that's really admirable, pile one. It's just an unfortunate lesson to learn that no matter how much we grow, we cannot help those who do not wish to help themselves. And that's what this feels like. It was just a really unfortunate situation where you were so gung-ho to heal yourself and to make something of yourself and to be a more powerful version of yourself and a more aligned version of yourself, all the while hoping that one day, whatever was going on with you and this person, you and these people, or you in this situation, that one day they would come into a state of clarity and understanding and say, that's the journey I want to take too. But they didn't, and they haven't, and they're not going to. They're so stuck in wanting to be back on the top with you under their heel or under their boot. And they're doing everything that they can right now. So this is somebody who is trying to create anxiety behind your back. So through gossip, but also this is someone who is trying to create, okay, they're showing me an example here where maybe this is a spouse, okay, and this is just an example, so take what resonates, but this is the type of anxiety that they're trying to create, and it's to get that control again. Like, your spouse goes to work, and say you go to pick up your spouse from work, and your spouse gets in the car, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, they fired me today, I don't know what we're going to do. And you start freaking out because, hello, that's kind of a really stressful situation. Like, what happened? They're like, I don't know, they just fired me, they were just being a jerk, they said that I'm this, they said that I'm that, which is all just a big lie, and la la la. They start going down this ridiculous journey of telling you how they got fired, only after 20 minutes and you stressing out all the way home, they're like, oh, I was just kidding. After you are in tears and trying to figure out, like, we've got rent to pay and we've got kids to take care of and we got food to put on the table, like, what the heck? And then after, they're like, oh, I was just kidding. And then they're completely unbothered by the fact that they bothered you or the fact that they hurt you, because that was intentional manipulation. And they just go into being in such a good mood and they're like, la 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 la, and you're over there still stressed out because, like, holy crap, they just put you through the ringer. And they're over here having a really great time. It's really narcissistic behavior. And I'm not here to diagnose. That's not what I'm here to do. But that is something that's very narcissistic, okay? To put someone in a bad mood, and then suddenly once that person's in a bad mood or in an awful situation internally, then they're like, oh my gosh, I had the best day ever. I totally made pile number one feel like crap, and I feel wonderful because of that. So, like, have you ever noticed when you're happy, they're in a bad mood, or when you're sad, they're in a really good mood? That's the type of energy that you've been dealing with here, and I feel like it's definitely overstayed its welcome. I feel like you also have realized I've overstayed my welcome, and there's this feeling of, like, I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to let this just be done. I cannot handle this anymore. And this is what is driving them to do even more like this. So you might see this person start to lash out. I also feel like this person gives you some very clear messages through the way that they look at you. Like they look at you with disdain, with hatred, with annoyance. They roll your eyes when you're just trying to have normal conversations with them. And this is all them, what they're doing behind your back. They're trying to create situations where now they're being supported by people who maybe know you or who don't know you. They're trying to get support behind your back so that they can continue to have the energy to deal with you. But the thing is that you're so close to walking out from this situation. It's literally around the corner where things are going to start shifting for you. And the thing is that no matter how much they try to build this case against you, that you are this awful person, that you never did what was needed to do, that you're just lazy, or that you don't work hard, that you've got everybody fooled and you just sit at home and twiddle your thumbs. Look, at the end of the day, everything that you've done and all the work that you put in is going to speak for itself. You know, it's like people who suddenly get overnight recognition. That is very rare that it's actually overnight recognition. It is just a product of consistent work. And that's what's happening here. And so your consistent work is starting to be seen by people that this person or this company or situation has been trying to convince that you are not worth looking at that way, but you're worth looking at in a very negative way. People are starting to question this person. Yeah, so the Ace of Swords is a very clear message here, Source saying. And I feel like Source is giving you clarity about this person as well. So there's something that just came up recently. Like, I keep seeing the eyes. Like, I'm seeing the eyes right now. So they looked at you a certain way, or they did something and you saw very clearly what it was. But hatred is coming through so strongly right now. And I feel like that's why I mentioned the collective reading at the beginning, because there was a huge surge of anger that started right before I got onto this reading. And it was so palpable. Like I feel like I could have cut it with a butter knife because it was just so thick, the anger that was surrounding me and around the collective energy. And, you know, it was like hard because usually when I get that type of feeling, like I might not come on and do a reading because I don't want it to go down that difficult road. But I was getting the message from Source, like, this isn't you and this isn't around you. This is the collective, what the collective is dealing with right now. And so I feel like for you, Pile 1, there's something here where it made you so mad, so angry, and disappointed is coming through as well. But it also, that moment, it feels like in that moment, things became so utterly clear to you. You were like, oh, what I was holding on to was just a pipe dream. And you're able to put it down now in a way that you've never put it down before. And I feel like Source is just saying, like, it's okay that you're angry. It's okay that you feel that way. You have every right to feel that way. And remembering that, validating that for yourself is a very powerful thing. Right? And it's so weird too, like you pick the fool's gold and you think about it, it's not everything that glitters is gold. And this is literally like so glittery, and when the sun hits it, it's beautiful, right? It's a beautiful gemstone, but fool's gold is, you know, it's pyrite. It's not really worth anything. And, you know, it's fool's gold. People thought they'd hit big when they got pyrite instead of gold. And that's why they call it the fool's gold. It fooled them. Right? And so I feel like this person fooled you, and that's what they've been trying to do behind the scenes right now, is get back into a position where they could fool you again. But Source isn't going to let that happen, because you've come so far on the journey, and because you now notice things with this person that you didn't know before. But I do feel like there's some way that they looked at you, or some way that they approached you recently, that really gave you clear direction on what was next for you. Whoa, okay. So interesting. I was trying to show the bottom of the deck, and the deck split open. We have Sagittarius and Saturn. So this was on the bottom of the deck, the Saturn was. But Sagittarius wanted to be seen here. So we have optimism, exploration, and freedom. And I feel like this is really symbolic, because Saturn energy is feeling restricted, experiencing struggle, learning hard work, and patience. But I feel like Sagittarius coming out, showing like Sources reminding you that you're going to be free from the struggle soon. You're going to be moving on from this feeling so tied down to this person or this situation, there's going to be an opportunity for you to move on, and move on very quickly is what it feels like. Sagittarius, really fast moving energy, you know, shooting off like the bow and arrow. You've been pulling back the bow this whole time, and now you're getting ready to release, but maybe you've been holding on to the bow for so long that it doesn't feel like you've released it. Even when you have, like, you still feel the string, the bowstring across your fingers, because you've been holding on to it for so long, pulling it back, right? And so even when you let go, you're still feeling the indentation of it in your fingers, even though the arrow's flying. And I feel like that's what's happening right now, is like you've had to deal with this for so long that now you're moving into a new chapter in your life, that it still feels like there's remnants of that old chapter, when in reality it's just now you're letting the indentation smooth out, right? You ever go to sleep on your covers or on your sheets in a weird way, and you wake up and you have all these indentations on your skin, or like on your face, from your pillow, right? I think it's happened to everybody, but you think about it when you first wake up, you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, and it looks crazy, and you can still feel the blanket even though you get up and you go take a shower and you're trying to wash it off. It takes a little while for your skin to come back to normal from that indentation, and that's what this feels like. It's like it's going to take you a little while to come back to a normal state, because this has left such an impact on your journey. We have Hanging Parent, gain knowledge by surrendering to the universal flow. And this card always makes me feel like the Hangman as well. There's a new perspective that's coming in, but also freedom, because you're feeling so comfortable with who you are. There's no questioning yourself anymore. And because you're not questioning yourself anymore, there's no way that this person can defeat your defenses. They just can't. They can't break down the wall. They can't get beyond the boundaries that you've set. Why? Because now you're learning to be super ultra comfortable with yourself. Yeah, child wounded. I'm not surprised this came out. We have awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children. Opens the learning path of forgiveness. And the shadows blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds. Resists moving on through forgiveness. I feel like there's a point where you didn't want to forgive and you didn't want to move on from this situation, but I do feel like you're moving into a state where you're ready to move on, and through moving on, forgiveness will happen naturally. It will come. Even if you're not ready to forgive right now, and knowing that that's okay. You know, no one's forcing you to forgive, but also as you move through these emotions and confront these emotions, right, you're going to be able to move into a state of forgiveness. It's something that happens naturally once we're able to really surrender the emotion itself. So we have Neptune, get lost in the lavender haze. So what was once unclear is becoming very clear, and I feel like you're moving into manifesting dreams that you've had for a long time. Solar eclipse on the bottom. Watch doors of opportunity swing open. Yeah, so there's something huge that's switching up in your life. And I feel like it's interesting because what they were doing behind your back is the same thing that they've been doing to your face. Like, this person is no different in front of you versus when they're behind your back. And it's interesting because they're not even trying to hide who they are anymore. They're just not. I feel like they've come to a point where they're unable to hide who they are anymore, because before you didn't see those parts, right? When you know the truth, you can't unsee it. Whoa. That was me hitting the spring on the holder here. But once you see the truth, like, you can't unsee it. And that's what's happened here. And so it's like, yeah, maybe you didn't see them. I feel like they've never hid the truth from you, though. I feel like this person was always showing you their true colors, but there's a part of you, or the situation was showing you their true colors, but there's always a part of you that was holding on to hope. And that hope was almost over romanticized in a way that was blinding you from the reality of the situation. It was letting you wear rose-colored glasses. And that's okay, right? There's no, like, how could you hold on to it for so long? Like, that's totally human of us. We want to see the best in everything. I feel like normal people who aren't out here trying to manipulate every person to get ahead in life, or in emotions, or in power, or whatever, most people want to see the good in everyone else. And sometimes we'll go so far as to delude ourselves from reality so that we can see good, because we are naturally good people at heart, and we're an embodiment of love. That's our soul. And so we want to see that being reflected back to us, but sometimes it's just not the way that it is. And accepting that can really break down a foundation that we've held on to since we were little kids, hoping and praying that things would go better for us, right? We have weasel, be silent, pay attention, simply observe with your eyes. Isn't that interesting? The first thing here, eyes, ears, and physical feelings. What is happening inside and all around you? So there's something that you saw for sure in regards to this situation. There's something that you saw, or they showed back to you with their eyes. It was in their eyes. And I feel like it was a very nuanced exchange that they have no idea that they told you a truth. They have no idea that they shared a reality with you. But it was just enough for you to see a deeper truth about the situation. So we have boar, pig here with face your problems head on with confidence and courage, and you will emerge victorious. Yeah, so you're coming out victorious here from a really shady situation. This has been really hurtful. It's been really painful. And, you know, you have every right to validate that for yourself, because this was just a really shoddy situation. It was not fun, and it was not easy, and you didn't deserve to go through this, right? And especially if this was someone who held some sort of title in your life, like a spouse or a family member, even a boss, you know, like you deserve to be treated with respect. And that's not something that everyone's willing to give out, you know? Yeah, comfort. This is also showing that like you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. You could have grown so accustomed to being treated this way, and even though you saw it as difficult and stressful, that stepping outside of that felt far more uncomfortable than staying, and that's now switched. That's now changed. Imagination, yeah. So you're creating something here, especially with Neptune and imagination coming out together. I embrace and nourish the creative aspects of my mind. So there's something that you're building, and that's taking you away from this situation. But also I feel like Source is just reminding you here that it's so vital and important for you to continue to focus on what it is that you're creating, that is going to keep giving you empowerment and vitality here. Yeah, grief. Wow. I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. You are definitely grieving from this situation. It feels like a loss with just cause, right? There's something here that you're grieving. You lost the hope that you had for this situation, or you lost feeling the way that you used to feel about the situation. That is a loss. That's the death of something that you were once holding on to. And that's the grief process is to help you feel through it, and knowing that that's okay. You know, give yourself that space if you need to. We have water energy here with Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio, spirituality, emotion, intuition, and compassion. So you're getting a lot of intuitive downloads. You also had the Cancer dice, and so you could definitely have Cancer highly aspect in your chart. You could have been dealing with, this could be a mother, this could be a Cancer that you're dealing with. This could be a water sign that you're dealing with. I did say Pisces came out in the beginning as well when I was shuffling. That was really strong. So it could be water signs, very significant here. You could also have your three majors, rising, sun, and moon, all in a different water sign, or all in like a heavy hitter, like all in Pisces, all in Cancer, all in Scorpio, or like sun and moon in Pisces and Cancer, Scorpio, or your rising and your moon in Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, okay? We have Secretary Bird, be rid of your enemies. Ooh, okay, so this is really telling with this card coming out here, because I feel like this is saying, look, and this bird's attacking, I don't know if you can see this or not, this bird's attacking a snake in the grass, right? There's a snake in the grass. And so I feel like that's the thing. You didn't want to believe that this person was an enemy to you, but that's something that's been revealed. And I feel like that's the most hurtful thing. It's like if this is a spouse or a family member or a friend, you know, like, what the heck? How could you be my enemy? Like, what is that even, where does that even make sense on the grand scale of things? But that's just where they're at on their journey, you know. And if it's a boss or something, there's like, what the heck did I do? But it's nothing you did, pile one. We have beggar here. Confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem, and the shadow is dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. So this is what we see here. They were sharing, and they were trying to tell everybody that you were a beggar. that you needed them for some reason. Whether it's like without them you wouldn't have a job, without them you wouldn't have a home. It's like without them, pile one wouldn't, and insert reason here. And we see that now. And so you've been putting in effort all this time and trying to face yourself and dealing with aspects of yourself to grow. And they've been trying to convince everybody that you have not. But that's the thing, is that as you continue to emerge and evolve, there's no hiding that. Okay, we have hedonists here with inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life, celebrates the beauty in yourself. The shadows pursues pleasures to the detriment of health and indulges at the expense of others. So we see here, that it's very important for you to celebrate yourself. Creativity. Yeah. So again, creativity, right? Creative energy, imagination with Neptune, a lot of creative energy coming in here. You're a creative. It doesn't matter what you create. That's just, you have very creative energy. You are very inspired a lot by a lot of different things. And so that's what I feel like Source is reminding you, is that keep focusing on that creative input and output. And that's going to take you away from this situation in a very graceful and peaceful way. Faith and having faith. Yeah, so Source is telling you, I'm here with you. I'm helping you fight this battle. I know it's been really difficult and really unfair, but you've come so far and you've learned so much about yourself. And there's no going back. There is no going back. So let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. We've got, wow, radical honesty. You know, and isn't that funny? It's like we were talking about how at some point you were wearing rose-colored glasses with this situation. And for radical honesty to come out, it's literally saying, like, instead of wearing these glasses, it's like, okay, I put down the glasses and I see what is standing before me. I see the good. I see the bad. I see the beautiful. I see the ugly. The things I didn't want to see, I'm opening my eyes to them now. And so it says, to believe in the facade is to suffocate in the armor of alienation, self-defeat, and self-denial. So let's read this from the book. It's just a really powerful card to come through in regards to your reading, pile one. It says, the mother warrior assures you that it is okay and that not at all a failure or flaw to experience disappointments, betrayals of the heart, and confusion. Rather, this is what it is to be transparently and universally human. She encourages you to look candidly at your current limitations and past the regrets and the things that you wish were not a part of your character or life story. The mother cautioned you against continuing to deny any unwanted reality in your life and your uncomfortable feelings about it. It is not okay to ignore what does not authentically fit you. That creates unease and any kind of compromise or incongruency in your life. While denial seems to be an easy and simple solution to what evokes aversion or discomfort in us, it is not. To maintain the ongoing armor or facade of denial leads to a life on the battlefield of perpetual deceit, manipulation, strategy, and estrangement from ourselves and others. As time continues to go by, what is avoided or denied grows into an even ever harder and larger landmine to navigate. While honesty can hurt and be brutal in the moment of disclosure, the acute pain of it is always temporary. True, a rough patch of disruption, tension, and chaos typically follows moments of radical honesty, but it does eventually dissipate. The turmoil is never the life sentence that avoidance, denial, and deception are. If and when some sort of upheaval does ensue, please understand that this is necessary and is for your long-term benefit. This process unhooks you from whatever dishonest armor and lifestyle had distorted and blocked you from your spirit self. The releasing of the armor you had lived with for so long that has become a part of you can hurt as it breaks away. Detox of any kind is never pretty, comfortable, or pleasurable. Ooh. Says, I almost dropped the book. Nonetheless, it will pass pass like the tide and leave an invaluable life-propelling lesson upon your shore. Know that every time you surrender to tumultuous feelings, you're releasing the heavy armor of deceits that are no longer yours to carry. Let the uncomfortable emotions flow, all of their unpleasantness completely through and out of you. Whenever they rise up in the well of your being, release them with self-love, acceptance, and appreciation for what is no more. The path of radical honesty can only beget more honesty. No one, regardless of how perfect they or their situation may seem, is immune to the full spectrum of life. We all have pain, shadows, insecurities, battle scars, stories of shame, and things we wish we had handled with more grace. As you become increasingly transparent, you attract more authentic and like-minded people, and those of the lie fall away. Consider your reality as a mirror reflecting all of yourself back to you. See yourself through the eyes of compassion and love. Make it a priority to experience yourself in authentic connection with others and feel your world transform into the joyful fulfillment of all that you have been fighting for. Wow, what a powerful message for you, Pile 1, like truly. So regardless of exactly what was going on behind your back when it comes to this person, Source really wanted you to focus on being honest with yourself, because the truth is that you already know the stories this person has told. You already know the lies that this person has shared. You already know the gossip that has ensued around this person. And the main thing right now is that you were clearly given a sign that helped you open your eyes so that you no longer tried to make excuses for this person any longer in a way that maybe had become very habitual to you along the journey. And now it's all about you pouring into yourself in that very creative and inspired energy that you have that is so beautiful. You deserve to give back to yourself. Okay? So this is what I see here for you, Pile number 1. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little light bulb emoji down below and say the inspiration and the motivation I receive is mine to fall into and trust that it is leading me towards a life filled with peace. And if it resonated with you, it mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. With that, I would like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very deep and powerful message today. And until next time, Pile number 1, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the Mars on it, if you were called to this seashell, which I think is, I'm not sure, it could be an oyster shell or clam shell. Or perhaps you felt drawn to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be your reading on what was going on behind your back. We do things differently here on this channel, so keeping that in mind as we move forward. If the message does resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. We're all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. Now, there may be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves, but there's no obligation to force it to fit, and triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. With that being said, your time and your presence are a true gift and a blessing today. And let's hop to your reading. So what was going on behind your back, Pile number 2? Source, what would you like to share with us today? What was going on behind your back, Pile number 2? Also, very quickly, I want to mention this on all of the piles today. If you did not, I encourage you to check out the collective message. It is timestamped in the description box. There was a very clear synchronistic message that came through even before I started this reading. And I feel like it's something that everybody that's on this reading is going to benefit from hearing. And so if you do feel called to that, just check that out. You'll find the timestamp below where he found this timestamp, okay? So we do have the third house here. We have Taurus energy and we have Venus. And it's interesting, I was getting Lover's energy before I started. I should have mentioned it, but that's okay. That's neither here nor there. So this could have to do with a labeled relationship. Okay, it doesn't have to be, but I have to mention it because that's the energy that is coming in. And, you know, twin flame soulmate relationship. And if not, that's okay. This is having to do with siblings or someone that's really close to you. So, but it does feel like this is someone that you are very close to energetically and you have a very deep connection with, and someone that you would like to see that loyalty build with, and for there to be a foundation in love. But it does feel like there's a lot of stubborn energy that's coming in here. Someone's not speaking their truth when it comes to the two of you. And that could be you. It could be them. You know, take it as it resonates. And always acknowledge and accept and take accountability for where you are on the journey too. And knowing that if you are in that state of not being able to speak how you feel, that's okay, right? It's just finding that courage within to do it when the time feels right for you or when you feel called. But I do feel like there's a lot of stubbornness that's coming in regards to this situation. And the stubbornness could also be arising from the want to not let go. I'm not going to let this go. I can't let this go. There's no possible way for me to let this go. If I let this go, then all that time, energy, and effort that I put into this connection, this situation, this love would be for naught. And that's not true at all. That's not true at all. You learned so much and you've understood more about yourself and all the actions that you've taken than you ever would have had this not had happened. That doesn't mean that it was wasted, right? It just, we like to label it as it being wasted because it didn't turn out the way that we had it in our minds and the way that we felt like it was in our hearts. And so right now, I feel like Source wants to focus with the dice just on the fact that there's a lot of stubborn energy that's between the two of you. It's a very thick energy here. It's a very palpable. It's like shoving each other away. That's what this feels like. It's like, oh no, I can't deal with that. But then there's also this underlying wish and hope that things are going to work out for the better and that things are going to come together. So this could be a long lost sibling, or a step sibling is coming in, half sibling is coming in as well. This could be a friend that you've known your whole life and you two went your separate ways, and how do I bring that back together? So there's desire on both sides with this situation. There is definitely desire. Now, that just because the desire is there does not mean that it is all going to come together the way that we expect it to. In fact, very rarely does anything ever come together the way that we expect it to. But let's find out. Let's find out some more about this. What was going on behind your back? What was going on behind your back? Would you like to share with us today, Source, for pile number 2? What was going on behind your back? Someone's spying on you and asking questions about you. They want to know about your success. They want to know how much you've grown. Okay, thank you. What was going on behind your back? What was going on behind your back, pile 2? A lot of transformation. Things falling apart. Coming to some really difficult realizations. What was going on behind your back? This could have been someone that you were really close to and you had a really bad falling apart. Yeah. Taurus energy is really heavy in this reading. You could have Taurus, or they could be a Taurus. Taurus and Venus. Taurus in the 3rd house. Taurus in the 7th house. And I was getting Taurus North Node or South Node. What was going on behind your back? Yeah. Wow, you got all 3 mysteries on your reading, and then we've got the 4 of Cups in the reverse on the bottom. So, what was going on behind your back? A lot of really difficult realizations. there's twofold here, right? There's somebody who's being very, very promiscuous. So if this was like a romantic interest, someone who just kind of let go of all reason and started sleeping around with a lot of people and trying to not replace you, but to forget you. Like, I gotta forget pile number 2. I can't handle this anymore. And then for those of you that this is more like a family or a friend situation, there was a lot of spiritual unrest and a lot of spiritual, like, just things started to happen for them in a spiritual sense that was creating a lot of upset for their physical life. And they are facing right now their emotional instability. They were not emotionally stable when they met you. They didn't have the capacity to love you the way that you deserved or needed to be loved. And so what was going on behind your back, it looks like, I feel like you're being represented by the Empress here with a lot of internal growth and abundance that's coming through. This very natural and human touch in a very artificial framework. So there was someone here who's very tapped into the matrix, very tapped into the 3D realm, and not honoring the spiritual side and doing everything in their power to make it seem like the spiritual side was just a bunch of woo-woo and yada yada and didn't matter. But you kept growing and you became the leader in their life that actually forced some sort of spiritual transformation here, some sort of recognition of their own difficult and confusing emotions and feelings. Okay? I do feel like that there was someone here who was trying to put you into a third-party situation, regardless if this was a family member or a romantic relationship. There was just always another party that was involved in regards to your guys' connection. There was always someone who was whispering in their ear, and not necessarily in a positive way, right? Convincing them that you had ulterior motives or that you had things that you didn't care for them. And I feel like this person, this third party person, was playing a huge role. But through your growth, something happened and you began to become something completely different than what this person was telling whoever this is, right? The third party, you were becoming something different than what the third party was saying here. And now they're in a state of confusion and really having difficulty facing their own actions and the way that they showed up. So it's like they saw you through someone else's eyes. They saw you through someone else's lies is what's coming through. And seeing you through those lies, they had painted a very unrealistic picture of you. And now that there's been some distance between you and them, right? Again, this pushing and pulling energy, but it feels more like pushing away. Both of you are pushing away. Excuse me. Through that pushing energy, now it's brought them back down to reality. Why do we hear that song? Back to life, back to reality. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know who sings that song. I don't even know the name of that song, but that's the song that's coming in right now. Yeah, it's like all of a sudden what they thought they knew about you, they realized was a total illusion. But it was also feeding into their very unstable emotional relationship that they had with this third party. So the third party could have been a very controlling mother. It could have been a controlling friend. It could have been a Gemini, a Taurus, a Libra, Aquarius, or a Cancer. This could have been someone that was a controlling sibling, right? This could have been even on their part. It could have been siblings on their part, or someone that was like a cousin or a sibling to them. There's just a lot that was going on, but I feel like the third party is the one that painted the picture of you, and this person in this reading believed everything that this person said about you. But it's weird because I feel like this third party doesn't even know you. Like, I don't feel like they've ever actually met you, or they don't know who you are, or they don't even know what you're capable of. That's what it feels like here. It's that they just have a problem with you being in this person's life for whatever reason. And is it just you per se, pile two? No, I feel like this is how they treat everybody that tries to come into this person's life. The third party is always painting pictures. This is like a very controlling third party, very manipulative, could be narcissistic. I'm not here to diagnose, but I do feel that type of energy coming in. Someone who's very, very manipulative, very, very controlling here when it comes to this person that we're talking about. Does not want to give them up. This is like family to them. Somebody that they've always been able to lean on, but not necessarily had the best interest for this person. Excuse me. There's definitely a lot of discord that they're seeing now. And they're recognizing that being around this person is not allowing for a lot of adaptability. There is emotional unrest. There's emotional instability here. Yeah, and so the justice here is to finally balance things out. They're seeing that they've far outgrown letting this person, this third party, have a say in their life. And so they are figuring that out. Excuse me. Wow. They are figuring that out, but it's been a very difficult road for them. And in turn, that means that you may have suffered because of that. And that was never their intention, but also I don't feel like they understood just how much pressure it was putting on you based on what this third party was saying. And for the third party, again, didn't care that it was you or John and Sally from down the road or Tanisha across the way or whatever, right? They didn't care. They didn't care about that. They were like, oh no, this is just a person that's taking away my person and taking away precious time that I have with my person, and I want to control them and have a say in everything in their life. And so maybe they were doing this because they felt like they had the best of intentions, but you know, there's the saying that the highway to hell is paved with the best of intentions. People have a tendency to think that they know how to live our lives better than we do. And the only thing that they can control, just like ourselves, is our own lives, right? Their own lives. Like, that's it. And that's what I feel like this person that you're thinking about, or who this resonates with, your person that's on the other side here, whomever they are, is beginning to have to face that uncomfortable feeling of making decisions for themselves when they've always relied on this third party to make decisions for them. And they're seeing just how much chaos this has brought into their lives by relying on this third party. Yeah, we have square coming out here. A challenging situation and a mountain to climb. And for you, Pile 2, I feel like this is Source just telling you, like, there's nothing that you did wrong. This was already a very challenging situation. And you carried a lot of that. You carried a lot of responsibility and pain and betrayal that wasn't yours to carry because this person was so adamant on listening to the third party. And that's something that was never, it was never your fault. It was not your burden. It was theirs to face. And they still have a long way to go. You've done a lot of healing. You've come into this place of being very strong and empowered. And there's no reason to go backwards now because of the potential of this person or what they could bring into your life, right? There's just a potential here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the potential they're going to step up into. You have to allow people to step into their potential and then come forward. You can't just thrust a potential onto somebody and hope that they're going to meet that expectation. And I feel like that's something that you've had to face when it came to this situation. It was really challenging. It was a really difficult thing to do, especially if this was somebody that, you know, you love very deeply, whether that's family, friend, or romantic interest. This is someone you loved very deeply. And there's something about this that you're seeing. It's just not in alignment with where you're going. And so you had to come back to reality, and they're coming back to reality now too. And this is something that Source was not going to let just continue down the road that it was on, because I feel like this has been a huge block for you on your journey. Yeah, Scorpio. That could be a Scorpio. You could have Scorpio. We have intensity, exposing, purging, and renewing. So something's been exposed here. And for you, I feel like you're coming into a state of renewal and release. And, you know, what's going on behind your back, like, this is something that you had no control over. And there's no way that you would have ever had control over this situation. So it's important for you to keep taking care of yourself. We have Peacock. Resist the alluring spell of those who would deceive in business and love. So, see, that's the thing. Like, no matter what, how much you care about this person, like, we're going to deceive you because there's a third party situation here. You know, whether that's a romantic third party situation that they have or a family third party situation that they have. They were always going to draw you in so that they could have you on hold and on wait and use that for their advantage. And, you know, again, was it meant to be malicious? I don't feel like the person that you're interested in having back in your life, I don't feel like for them it was malicious. I feel like it was just that this third party has malicious intent. And unfortunately, they have become so accustomed to that they cannot tell when they're actually hurting somebody because they're not facing their own inner deceit, right? And their own dishonesty. Yeah, barn owl. Love approaches unexpectedly. And this is a really telling card to come out too. That's why I was saying it feels like love. Sunbitten, outflank adversaries by keeping a low profile and less threatened. Okay, yeah, so I feel like this does have to do with someone you care about. Okay, and it doesn't have to be, love is not always romantic, right? So just, I feel like the thing is that you're letting go and making space because you have to. There's really no other choice here. Like, this could be someone who ghosted you. This could be someone who left you on red. This could be someone who just disappeared. I do feel like this is someone who disappeared. Or I feel like this is someone who you can't really have that kind of conversation with anymore. Like, even if you are in touch with them, like, it's just not someone you can have that type of conversation with anymore. And there's that question that comes up, like, is this worth my time? No matter how much I love them, is this someone who's going to align with me and grow with me on the journey? Or are they on their own journey that I have to let them go? And for many of you, I feel like that's the understanding, is that you've realized they're on their own journey. You have to let them be their own journey. You know, victim. Yeah. Prevent you from letting yourself be victimized and victimizing others. And then we have the shadows, playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity and the inability to maintain personal boundaries. So we see that they're in a victim mindset right now. Okay. They're living in that being victimized. They're the victim of their life. And for you, you're moving on and you're not letting yourself be victimized by this person any longer, right? Because the victim will always try to draw you in that sense, right? For the pity, for that. And then it's unfortunate, it is a revolving door. It will continue. I'm not saying there aren't victims. There are plenty of victims. But it's not about being a victim. It's about what happens when you've become a victim. What happens next? Do you stay a victim, or do you choose to empower yourself and move on? And that's what I feel like you had to do here, Pile 2, is to empower yourself and move on. But there's definitely a really crappy third party involved in this situation. Do they know about you? I mean, Source isn't really making that clear. We might get more of that when we get into the oracles as we continue. But I feel like the main thing here is that this third party, they don't care who's involved with this person. They're going to be the way that they are. Aquarius, fly your freak flag. Yeah, it's time for you to detach from the situation and go be you with this Aquarius energy. That's what's coming through here. It's time for you to be you, and you have a right to be seen as yourself. Wow, camel flying out. Trust that you have the resources to get through the challenges before you. And I feel like letting go is part of the challenge itself, right? Especially with square and camel coming out together. It's not something you thought you would ever do, or that you would ever have the strength to do. But I feel like you're seeing that you're far more powerful than you ever gave yourself credit for. And this is not the type of baggage that you want to tote around with you, for sure, right? We have cat, domestic. It's time to strike out on your own and relinquish your overdependency on others. So we do see this is someone who is very overdependent. There's a codependent situation here with the third party. They're very overdependent on this third party. Okay, and striking out on your own, that's not something you need to be dragged into. And I feel like inadvertently, if you tried to continue things, that you would get drawn into this and you would also become a victim of this third party, because that's the type of energy that they have. They just are somebody who wants control, and they want control at all costs. They don't care who they hurt to get into that control. They're going to do what they want so that they can be strong or appear strong in that control. Yeah, disruption. So there's a need to disrupt this cycle here. And because you're the one that's aware of this, pile 2, you're the only person who can disrupt the cycle. Because this person that you're interested in, or this person that we're talking about, not the third party, but your person here, they're not going to disrupt the cycle because they're too used to it playing out this way. They're just comfortable in this discomfort. And for you, it's about growing through the discomfort and becoming okay with letting go of something that you had grown accustomed to yourself. And so you're the one that has to disrupt it. Let it go. What was going on behind your back? Whoa. Surrender flipping over here. We have, I can release my need for control. See, again, pointing towards control. There's a third party that's incredibly controlling here. Again, it could be a family, it could be a lover, it could be a spouse, it could be an ex, could be a job situation. But for this person that we're talking about that you're connected to, there's their third party that is creating a lot of control. And there's nothing you can do. You can't convince this person that the third party is not good for them. There's no way. They have to come to that conclusion on their own. Perseverance. I know that I can do whatever I set my mind to. And you're strong. You can persevere through this. Like, that's what I feel like Source is reminding you, that you have the strength to get through this. All right, so we've got Exorcist. Interesting. Yeah, this is a really heavy energy. Freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. And the shadow is fear facing your own demons. So they're just in a very destructive state right now. And this third party is literally destroying this person's lives. And that's what's going on behind your back. Like, you're not seeing it, but I do feel like you are getting remnants of it. Slave. Wow. I don't think this card has ever come out on any of my readings since I've had this deck. It says surrender your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. So trusting in the process is really vital for you. The shadow is giving your willpower to an external authority out of fear of making your own choices. So Source being very clear, the energy here is very clear. Okay, the person that, for you, your person here is surviving, okay, and I use that loosely, based on a third party's decisions. They're being controlled by a third party here. They're giving up their power and their authority to this person, saying, like, you make the decisions for me. Okay, and they've been comfortable doing that for a long time. And so that's why it's important for you to do what you need to do for yourself and not be allured by this idea of love or friendship, or even the fact that you've known this person for a long time. Like, our time together should equate to loyalty. Time does not equate to loyalty ever at all in this realm. That's just not a thing. It's a nice sentiment, but that's not what it is. Because if that were the case, there'd be a lot more loyal people out there. Loyalty is loyalty, period. It doesn't equate to anything other than the fact that you choose to be loyal and you're going to show up as a loyal individual. And if you don't, that just shows that you're not willing to put in that effort. So don't fall into the draw of that. Just because this is a love relationship or someone you really deeply care about, sometimes part of our journey is letting go of people we deeply care about. And it hurts. We have Venus, attracting abundance. You're in the process of attracting new abundance into your life and staying open for that abundance. Okay. Didn't we have, new love is coming with the owl on the bottom. Okay. So there's somebody new that's coming in, and opening up your heart to that so that you can allow them to come in, because it's going to be someone who's more aligned with your journey and with where you're going, and who wants to grow with you, and who is loyal and dependable, not someone who's at the whims of a third party here. Yeah, source wanting to bring this state of peace into your life. Okay? So the disruption has to happen first so that you can come into this place of peace. All right? Wow, this is a really heavy energy. Really heavy here. Let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. We're going to see what it says. A strength of vulnerability. And that's actually the image that's on the box and the book. It says true power lies at the root of a perceived weakness. So this is about you embodying and embracing your own true power. And we have number 4 here with strength, structure, and stability. So building a stable foundation for yourself in a very unstable situation. Okay. Feelings of vulnerability arise when we are treated as if we are, or we believe ourselves to be incapable of inadequate or of adequately protecting or providing for ourselves. It may be that we feel somewhat dependent or insecure in a relationship. So again, there's this third party here. There's someone who is got codependency. That's what they're still living codependently. Okay. It says, it may be that we feel somewhat dependent or insecure in a relationship, intimate, social, familial, profession, situation, or place. Our vulnerability presents us with the fears and the uncertainty that we need to confront and overcome in our personal development. Therefore, what frightens us can be used as a catalyst to discovering our inner resources and the capacity to self-empower and outgrow any perceived limitation. If we listen to and accept our feelings of weakness and what seems threatening, we can identify effective ways to prepare and learn to support ourselves to survive them, master them, and thrive beyond them. As the maiden, you are the warrior. Your life experiences and current resources are not random, but perfectly equip you to take on whatever makes you feel vulnerable. You are at the threshold of realizing your inherent strength. To know what you are capable of involves daring to experience the full spectrum of yourself. This includes exploring what you believe you are not. It could help to ask yourself, how would I handle this situation if I did not feel inadequate? In what ways can my current feelings of vulnerability be perceived as a strength? Write down your answers before further asking yourself, how can I creatively mobilize this strength to make me feel confident in taking the necessary steps to confront or navigate my way beyond what feels threatening to me? The maiden encourages you to recognize your vulnerability as training ground for developing the necessary skills, resources, and support network to gain a sense of self-mastery, strength, and over any perceived weakness. Maiden's message is your vulnerability is where you recognize your power. And I feel like this is a really telling message too for you, Pile 2, because there's this energy that's coming through where it's like, I can't be without this person. I have to have this person in my life. Like it's either them or no one else. And that is a vulnerability, being honest with yourself and saying like, why do I feel this way about this person? And what truly does happen to me if this person doesn't come into my life? Am I less than? That's the illusion. You're not. Am I not worthy of this love? That's the illusion. You are worthy. But sometimes we put it in such a specific package that if we have to deviate from that package that it comes in, we feel as though something is wrong with us. And that's not the case at all. And I feel like that's something that's being vulnerable with ourselves and recognizing that I'm worthy of this love no matter the package that it comes in. And being open for myself to receiving that love is giving yourself that vulnerability to let go of something that you once perceived you would never let go of. Right? That's opening yourself up to a new state of growth. But sometimes with the spiritual community, especially, we get so fixated on a single person and it having to be a single person that we forget that this journey is about the experience and possibility of the world out there and how it impacts our inner world and ourselves as we move through this journey. And being so fixated on one person, we become stagnant and we forget to grow. So growth allows us to ask that question, who am I without this person ever coming back into my life? And is it truly the end of the world if they don't? It's not. You've been okay without them for this long. You'll be okay without them if they never come back. But until you understand yourself better and truly dig into that inner standing, You'll always be at the whims of the actions of this other person, which is you technically doing the very same thing that we've seen them doing behind your back. And that's giving your power away and saying, this person holds power and authority over me in this life. And the only way that I'll ever gain my authority back is if they ever come back to me. That's not true. You only have to decide to take back your power and say, I'm worthy and deserving of what I desire in this moment. And I remain open to whomever and whatever it is that is in highest alignment for my highest good. And not what everybody says it has to be one person. It's not that it's not one person. It's just, it's an outrageous expectation that we've placed on ourselves and on one other person in our lives, that we don't realize we're putting ourselves into a very limited box. And that's not at all what Source ever asked us to do. Source wants us to open up to the possibilities and trusting and having faith that Source knows us better than we know ourselves and knows exactly the type of person that's going to help us become the best, most aligned version of ourselves. And it might not come in the package that we expected it to. Okay, so this is what I see here for you. You're doing an amazing job, Pile 2. I know this was not an easy message, but I'm so proud of you for getting through it. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little peacock emoji down below and say, I choose to let myself be free from expectations of who or what it should be and open my heart to the possibility of Spirit, Source, God, whatever you believe in, bringing to me exactly what is right for me. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. With that, I'd like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel Source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the 3rd house on it, or perhaps you were drawn to this piece of amethyst, or perhaps you were called to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on what was going on behind your back. We're all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. And we do things differently here on this channel. So with that being said, if the message does resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Triggering sentences may arise on the reading itself. There's no obligation to force it to fit. And remember that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. So with that being said, your time and your presence are a true gift and a blessing today. So let's go ahead and hop to it and find out what was going on behind your back, pile number 3. What was going on behind your back, pile 3? Source, what would you like to bring forth today? And I said this on pile 1 and 2, so I'm going to reiterate it here. A couple things. This is not necessarily in regards to a person or a situation. It will be what comes through from Source. And also, the collective message had some really resonant and synchronistic messages in it. And I felt called to tell all 3 piles to definitely check it out. And you'll find the timestamp down below in the description box where you found the timestamp for this reading. It will say collective reading, and it is at the beginning of the reading. Okay, so what was going on behind your back, pile 1? We have the 9th house, Leo energy, and the moon. I wondered if we were going to get a spiritual one in here. And by spiritual, I mean what goes on behind closed doors. Like, that's what this feels like. So what was going on behind your back? Honestly, there's a lot of growth here. A lot of healing. Especially healing of the inner child. I feel like you've been through so much especially in this last year. I feel like this last year especially was really difficult for you, pile 3. You could have Sagittarius, Leo, or Cancer highly aspect in your chart. You could have a Sag Sun, Leo rising, Cancer moon, Cancer sun, Leo moon, or Sag rising, or any variant of those. And if not, that's okay. I heard 4th house stellium. That came in really loudly. Or a water trine is especially coming in as well. I feel like there's this energy where you've dealt with people who have tried to exhaust you into a codependent relationship with them. Like wearing you down so that you won't see their true motives or so that you won't push back. And yet every time someone came in and tried to grate at you like that, you were getting stronger and your resolve was getting more compounded and cemented into this reality. And I feel like you have stepped into truly expressing yourself in a very beautiful way. You are, it's pride, but pride in a very humble sense, if that makes sense, right? You're proud to be who you are. And you are also not someone who's arrogant about that either. Like, oh yeah, I am who I am and I deserve the title, or I deserve the recognition, or I deserve to be seen as the all-knowing, great, most powerful person to ever walk the earth. Like, you're just like, I'm really proud that I can stand and be grateful for who I am. And that's what this feels like. Just a very humble kind of pride and gratitude with honoring yourself. And it's come from your learning, what you've learned along the journey, what you have gained access to knowledge-wise and inner wisdom, ancient wisdom, even just knowledge in general, like maybe just learning, you have something you've been learning, and I mean, it could be like crocheting or sewing or some kind of craft or music or anything like it. Doesn't have to be ancient wisdom, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily spiritual in and of itself, but I feel like whatever it is that you're learning, you have gained access to a part of yourself that was quarantined. I don't know why that's coming in, but it is. It's like a part of you was quarantined. Like, oh, that's something that is not healthy, and so I can't let that part of me show. But through this process of learning, maybe in school or some kind of certificate or degree, you've slowly opened the door and recognized that this part of yourself that you cornered off is an integral part of who you are and worthy of your admiration, your love, your attention, your affection, and your attention is, again, your attention. Yeah, your attention. So I feel like what's been going on behind your back is actually what's been going on behind closed doors in the spiritual world. And that's what this feels like to me. But we're going to get into it because this could have been something that happened because of something that happened behind your back. But I definitely feel like there's this wearing down, trying to wear you down into some sort of codependent connection, and you've healed, and now you are very strong and vibrant and full of life. And I feel like you're very hopeful about what's next as well. All right, so what was going on behind your back? There's a lot of abundance that's coming to you. A lot of groundedness, too. What was going on behind your back? Source, what would you like to share with pile 3? What's going on behind your back? Okay, thank you. What was going on behind your back? A lot of anxiety because of worry or fear that people were sticking their nose into your business, and worry that that was going to affect you in some way, shape, or form, or affect your character or your reputation with people who mattered to you. What was going on behind your back? Yeah, so this could have been a boss. This could have been someone who is only motivated by money. Someone who's not afraid to step on your toes to get ahead. What was going on behind your back? Whoa, okay, so you're getting 4 cards. I did not do 4 cards on any of the other piles, so I won't tell if you won't tell pile 3, so we'll just see what comes through. Let me move these over. Hopefully I have enough room for the bottom of the deck. Close enough. Bottom of the deck, yeah. We have the Knight of Swords in the upright. You have become your own hero here. You had to save yourself. And maybe that was going and learning something new, or pouring your energy and effort into something creative, to some form of expression here. Journaling, blogging, drawing, art, music. Talking to others, helping others. Especially with the Knight of Swords on the bottom of the deck. It's showing like you're the one that had to rush in and save yourself. Let's see what this is. A lot of people already. A lot of people. Okay, yeah. There's one person in particular here that's really standing out. And that's the King of Coins in the reverse here. Honestly, I feel like you're definitely in this King of Wands energy and the Knight of Swords energy. The Queen of Swords could be someone else involved here. That was the energy I was getting, was that there's someone here who's spreading rumors about you, and that they might have contact with somebody that you actually really care about. And even though we're not supposed to worry about what others think of us, of course we're going to worry about what people we care about think of us, right? Like, that's just natural. But I do feel like there's this energy where you're concerned about someone having something really rotten to say about you. And what is going on behind your back that you don't necessarily see is, I actually feel like this person is protecting you. This person that you really care about, they care about you too, and they're really protecting you. That could be a Libra, it could be a Virgo, a Sagittarius, heavy Libra energy here, or someone with a Libra moon or a Libra rising coming in here. Okay, but this person really cares about you. They see you as very special to them. They see you as someone worth defending. And I feel like they've defended you from past situations as well. But what's really unique about this situation that's going on behind your back is that while this person, who is represented by the King of Coins energy here in the reverse, is trying to make you look terrible, this could also be a work situation where there's somebody that you really care about at work, and they're trying to tarnish your good character and your good name. But whatever this King of Coin represents, this energy here is trying to get to this coin, this Queen of Swords energy, and they're not paying any attention to them at all. Like, no matter what they say, no matter what they bring forth, no matter what they talk about, this Queen of Swords energy is like, I keep seeing someone rolling their eyes like, oh, here we go again. Why do you gotta bother pile 3 like that? Like, they haven't done nothing to you, so let it go. And I feel like that this person doesn't tell you what they're doing because to them, it's just, they don't believe it. So they're not going to believe it. Nothing that this person says is going to change the way that they feel about you. And they don't want to stress you out for that. It's not because they're not a good friend. They're literally trying to protect you and keep you from a situation that could potentially cause a lot of stress. And I know sometimes people feel like that is a betrayal because it's like, well, if they're my friend, they should tell me. But we as humans, we do all kinds of things to protect others, and it might be right, it might be wrong, but it feels right to us, so we're going to do that. right? And so right now it feels right for them to not say anything. It's not that they're not ever going to say anything to you. I just feel like right now it just doesn't matter to them, because this person, it's almost like they're just telling these tall tales that are completely unbelievable anyways. So why are they going to bother you and stress you out when they've already seen you have such an awful year? They want you to feel supported, and they're doing their best to support you. And I feel like that's this Queen of Swords energy. They're really doing their best to support you. Or that could be even you getting that about someone else and worrying about someone else in that way. Okay. But I do feel like there's this energy where this Queen of Swords just isn't having it. Like, come on at me, King of Coins, whatever you got to say. I don't give a gosh darn hoot, because you're just being crazy. You're just being crazy, right? They're very limited in their outlook in life. They don't ever see anything as good or beneficial in their life. It's just everything is a reason to complain. Everything in their life, even if things are going good, there's still a reason to complain, right? Because it's good, but it's not great. It's okay, but it's not good. Right? There's always, even if it was perfect, there would still be something that was unperfect for this person to complain about. And I feel like for them, they're using you as an excuse to be in that energy. But spiritually, I feel like for you, this is something that's not really bothering you too much anyways, even if you do feel a little bit hurt by this person not sharing with you what this person's saying. You have to understand, they just, like, you know, it's like, have you ever heard things that you never wanted to repeat to somebody else? That's what this feels like. They're just like, it's just not even worth the breath. It's not even worth your energy to listen to what this person has said, because you're so much bigger and better than that. And that's exactly what I get from this Queen of Swords energy. Like, they're just in this energy where they just don't feel like it's worth your time, your energy, your stress, your effort, because this person is literally just a complainer. They're a victim. They are only concerned about their own crap. And yet this person has seen you go through so much in this year. And it's like, if this person that's complaining about pile 3 even lived a fraction of what pile 3 lived this year, like, they cannot even compare their lives to what it is that you've experienced in the last year, especially the last year. And I feel like it's just been really overwhelming for you, and you've worked on building up your self-confidence, and you've been working on your creativity. Again, that expression is coming through. And that expression has brought you into this place of defending against small-minded individuals or limiting situations that try to force you back into a box, in a place where you do not belong, in a place that keep you feeling like you don't have a voice, or like you can't have a voice. And now you're standing up in this very mature energy of following your urges and desires, and not worrying about whether or not that sits well with other people, including whoever this King of Coins energy might be, which could be a Virgo. It could be someone that has their moon in Virgo. Okay. That's really coming out really strongly. And I feel like that's the thing. It's like you're investing in yourself. There's a book. Hold on. I have it right here. Okay. It's by Sarah Turner. It's called Bet on Yourself. Let me see if I can pull it out. It might be too tight up here in my little bookcase. I might not be able to pull it out. No, I can't pull it out. Okay. But it's called Bet on Yourself. It's by Sarah Turner. And I feel like that's a book that you might really benefit from. You can get it on Amazon and online. She has an online page too. But it's just talking about like taking the time to really focus on investing in yourself and your creative ideas and your health and your well-being and your emotional well-being. And I feel like that's exactly what you're doing. And this person keeps getting triggered by that. And so that's what's going on behind your back, is this person. It feels like a person. It could be a boss. It could be a father. It could be a mother. It could be someone who's older than you, or someone who's younger than you, but acts like they've lived a million years, you know, like those type, not an old soul, but someone who just is like, they could be like 20 and they act like they're like a 90-year-old, that type of energy. And, yeah, they're just, this person has a very closed off heart, and they only see life through struggle, but they haven't really struggled. I'm not saying that they've never experienced struggle. What I'm saying is like what they think is struggle isn't, like, oh, I cooked dinner last night and I made it too hot, right? Like that kind of struggle. And you're over here like, dang, like I was struggling to just figure out how to eat for the last 3 months. At least you had dinner. And they're like, well, yeah, but at least you didn't have to eat crappy dinner. Like that's the type of energy. It's like they can't even open themselves up to seeing anything from another person's struggle, because their struggles that they think are struggles are, somebody's piece of cake. That's what this feels like. And again, it's not to invalidate their experience, because that's their reality. But what I'm saying is like, they just, if there was ever, not to compare, there's no comparison, but if there was ever a moment where they could actually just visibly experience life that you've lived recently, this person would probably stop complaining rather quickly, because what they've been complaining about doesn't really hold a candle to some of the things that you've never even talked about. Okay, and again, it's not about comparison here. It's just about you've really gone through it. And I feel like part of that's because you're an incredibly spiritual person, or you've been meant to be on the spiritual journey. And so there's a lot of shifts that are happening behind closed doors right now with Source, where they're rewarding you for your hard work. And the key point here was for you to really take your focus off of individuals like this, because I feel like you're being represented by the Knight of Wands here, and that was been the key focus. So this King of Coins isn't actually focused on you. They're focused on tarnishing your character, but they're focused on doing it with somebody who is important to you. And this person is just completely unfazed by whatever this person has to say to them about you. Like they're not hearing it. They already have their opinion of who they are, who you are. They already know who you are to them. And that's the only thing that matters right now. But whoever this King of Coins energy is, they don't see it that way. They're like, oh, I'm going to win this battle. I'm going to win this war. And I'm going to make this person second guess pile number 3. And I feel like it's interesting here, because this might not be someone you're in contact with every day or on the regular. This could just be a friend that you both know, or someone that you both know. Like the only real common denominator here is that you both know this person, or this person both knows you, right? Like that's what it feels like here. But other than that, like it would just be you knowing this person, they know you. But they're focused on their life right now, and you're focused on your life. And fortunately or unfortunately, I guess depends on how you look at it, this King of Coins is flailing. He's really floundering. Or she, or they. And so there's a lot of restriction that's come from dealing with a situation like this for you. And I feel like with the Knight of Swords on the bottom here, it's showing that in a very unemotional, uncommitted situation, you had to come in and save yourself from someone here. Yeah, definitely getting father energy here with the Pope. And this could be a spouse that's a father, right? Or you could be a father, and this is dealing with your spouse that's a mother. Or you could be in a same sex marriage and you're both fathers, or you're both mothers, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. But again, this is like father, spiritual father energy here. With it to be in the reverse, it's like you had to realize what your journey meant to you and take that time to step towards that desire. A lot of courage here. A lot of courage to move forward. Also, a lot of fear in the journey moving forward for you. But knowing that you can't stick around and hope that this situation is going to change. And so for you, I feel like Source is just pointing out the situation that's at hand here, but mostly for you, pile 3, it's about the spiritual shift that's happening. I know we've talked about this person, these other 2 people here, but this is about the spiritual shift that's happening for you. There's something huge that's about to change for you, and I feel like it could be walking away from this overall, or it could be that this person's finally going to get the hint and vibrate out of your life. Because I don't feel like they're going to be able to convince this other party that's involved anything about you. Like, this Queen of Swords is very adamant on protecting you. And you might not even know that. They might not share that with you. Taurus, trust, patience, sensuality. Okay, so this could be a Taurus. You could be a Taurus, have Taurus highly aspect in your chart. Trusting in the process here. It's going to take time. There's patience here, but you know, it's just reminding you that you've already been patient on the journey and things are slowly forming in your life for the better. We have the short-eared owl. Inner peace and a sense of wonder are regained by immersing yourself in nature. So coming back to yourself. Maybe you've been focusing too much on this person for a while and things are starting to shift for you. And that's something that's happening for you too behind closed doors, is that Source is helping you to shift your focus on things that matter more to you. And what's going on behind your back doesn't really matter as much. And that's what Source wants to focus on. What has been going on behind your back? Yeah, beggar. This came out in another pile. So you might have resonated with another pile or been called to another pile. And just really quickly, if you spent all 3 piles with me, leave a purple heart down below. You're part of my Purple Heart Club. And that truly does mean the world to me that you spent so much time with me. And if you're here for pile 3 and pile 3 alone, you are still just as precious to me. And I want to say thank you to you as well. So we have beggar energy here, confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. So this could be someone that you borrowed money from, or this could be a situation where they give you, help support you physically in the world. Breadwinner type energy here. We have shadow as dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. Yeah, so I do feel like definitely could have resonated with one of the other piles, just because I feel like they're trying to tell people that, you're like a deadbeat energy, and that's not true at all. I don't feel like that's true at all. I feel like you worked extra hard, and again, this person has no idea what kind of burdens that you've had to carry this last year. And a lot of people think that life is just easy peasy for people who don't talk about their life. But most of the time, the people who hold the biggest smiles and say little to nothing at all are the ones that are carrying some of the biggest burdens. And that's why it's so important for us to remember to treat others with respect and kindness that we ourselves would want to. And I don't think I have to remind you of that, pile 3. I just feel like that's just something that you need to hear, is that you didn't deserve to be treated this way. This person does this. This is what they do. They move from person to person and they find a way to be the victim, okay? To be the one that's like, oh, my life is so awful. We have rebel here with challenges authority to affect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. And the shadow is rejects legitimate authority out of anger, rebels out of peer pressure or fashion. Yeah, so this could be someone who's doing this because of peer pressure. Like, they feel pressured that they need to withhold some sort of title in your life, and that's falling apart in front of them. Yeah, 8th house, except that it's complicated. This is a karmic situation. And not karma in the way that you did something to deserve this. It's just something that's been lingering around, some energy that you're clearing out, right? Letting go of and releasing. And this has been really challenging. And I feel like for them, their karma is watching you succeed, right? And so you're facing fears and leaving legacies here. But overall, it's a really complicated situation. We have the full moon. All is being revealed. Yeah, you're no longer going to be questioning this situation. So this person who, if there's this third party that's involved here that cares really a lot about you, they could come through and tell you everything that's going on. Or it's just that you have a third party involved that helps you take your energy off of this, and you'll be able to share with them everything that you've gone through, and they're going to be that support system for you, okay? You don't necessarily have to have a person here, but I'm just saying it does feel like there's 3 people involved here. We have honeybee. Let compassion and forgiveness be your top priority in this situation. So remembering that forgiveness is not giving this person or anyone who hurt us a free pass. Forgiveness is freeing ourselves from the chains of the hurt that we experienced when we went through it, when life happened to us, and when this person became a part of life around us. We're letting ourselves be free of that. And I do feel like you're ready to let go of it for sure. But again, it's just after everything that you've gone through, like I just get this sense you're super exhausted, and it's like it's kind of the last thing on my mind right now to let this go. Like I have other things I need to focus on. And I feel like Source is telling you that's okay, right? We're not trying to force you into letting this go right now, but it is something that will come up for you. And right now, the only focus that you need is to focus on yourself and where you're going. Yeah, caution. And not to share anything, you know, especially right now, like there's something that's about to happen for you really quickly here. And I feel like it's just important for you not to share anything that's not necessary for others to know, right? Whether that's an increase in money or an increase in clients or an increase in life in general. There's just whatever. It could just be abundance of some sort, right? Like you got some sort of freedom or you moved away from a situation. Whatever it is, there's just no reason for you to share that right now. Keeping that to yourself is really important. We have indecision. I use my intuition in all aspects of my life. Yeah. So trusting your intuition is going to share that guidance with you and that gut feeling. So like if suddenly you get a bonus and maybe this is a spouse, right? Not telling your spouse about the bonus. And that might seem dishonest, but there's a reason for that, right? Like there's a reason for that. It's not about dishonesty right now. It's about you celebrating in silence at this moment. On the bottom, honesty. I can't always expect the truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. And that's the other thing, is being honest about the situation. Do they really need to know? So we have the 10th house here, structure, discipline, life mission, accomplishments, and careers. Yeah, so something's happening with your career. I feel like Source wants you to just keep focusing on what you've been doing with your career. Swan, a tranquil spirit comes with accepting inner dichotomy. So remembering that there's always the balance of light and shadow. And when you accept that fully within, that's where you become grounded and at peace with yourself. But also part of that is accepting the outer dichotomy of the world too, right? Did you deserve to be treated this way by this person? No, you didn't. You didn't do anything that was like, oh, this is my, you know, we kind of have karma messed up. Like we think we outright did something and so we're deserving this. Like the blame is that we must have done something in some point in our lives or past lives and we now deserve this. No, that's not really how it works. It's just when we think about karmic connections, it's something that you didn't have control over. And you have to choose to take control back from the situation in the way that best aligns with you. So like if it's a parent, right, you don't have control over who your parents are. That's something that happens along the way. And yeah, we might make that choice before we come into this realm. But remembering that while we're here, instead of looking at it like, well, it had to happen this way, it just happened, right? We're trying to give everything a reason. And sometimes we don't need a reason for things. It just happened. It was a crappy situation. It was a difficult thing that I had to go through. So instead of trying to find a reason, just acknowledging that, right? That's part of acknowledging the shadow, is that it just happened. It doesn't have a reason. Because honestly, and I've talked about this before. I actually had talked about this a lot on my podcast. When someone is always searching for a reason as to the things that they've experienced in life, oftentimes what happens is that there's never a reason that is profound enough to give us ease of mind or ease of heart. And instead of looking for a reason, just knowing that, you know, life truly is just going to be what it is. We don't have control over what happens out there, but we have control over what happens within ourselves. And I feel like that's something we're being led to right now. And what you're choosing to control is how you're showing up for your spiritual journey and for where you're putting your energy. We have Boar. Yeah, face your problems head on with confidence and courage. You will emerge victorious. Yeah, so you're going to be emerging victorious from the situation. And I feel like Source is trying to paint the picture, but it's not really about what's going on behind your back at this moment. It's about what's going on behind the scenes. And that's what Source wants to focus on here for you, Pile 3. Success. Right. So a very clear message here. It's about what's going on in the spiritual realm for you. You've worked really hard. You've overcome a lot. And things are starting to pan out for you. But the more that you focus on things that are less than ideal and less positive, we have a tendency to continue to manifest those back into our lives. And so right now it's just about you focusing your energy forward on what it is that you want to create. So we have 44 with Lantern. Consciousness is light. Isn't that interesting? And I talked about a lot of deep issues on your reading, and we're talking about that, like, instead of finding reason, just accepting that life is as life does. There's a cardinal that just landed on the tree outside. Absolutely beautiful. And I feel like that's sometimes when we're coming into consciousness, is like, instead of being ruled by our subconscious traits that we have refused to heal or haven't even known how to heal, we're opening up to the reality that so many things are possible and so many things are capable of happening in any one given moment. And instead of saying like, oh, well, it happened for a reason, it happened for a reason, it's just like, this just happened. What if that was it? It just happened. It has no reason. Sometimes that's a really hard thing to embrace, but that's what life really is. Life is life. There doesn't have to be a reason. That's why I talk about how lessons, we don't go through hard things because we need lessons. Lessons arrive as solutions and resolutions to the hard things that we go through. But we've got it mixed up, and we're telling ourselves constantly that, like, oh, I had to learn this lesson. I had to learn. No, you didn't have to learn any lesson. You learned a lesson because of something that was difficult. Like, it's not like, oh, like, it's so hard. It's so hard to see it that way. It's like, why do we lose people in life? Well, when it's your time, it's your time. We can't change that. Right? But it doesn't mean that we're not going to experience grief. Was there a lesson to losing someone we care about early in life? Does there have to be? Is that the only way that we can accept it? We're trying to put a band-aid on it by trying to give everything that we go through a reason, rather than seeing it as, this is life. No one is free from the experience of life. Right? We all experience life, the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly. We experience different aspects of it, but no one is free from the experience of life. So instead of finding a reason, can we just accept that life is always going to be life? Because when we accept that, then we're not trying to search for deeper meaning in things that are outside of our control, when there really isn't necessarily a deeper meaning. The deeper meaning is you. You are the deeper meaning. You are the lesson. You are the answer. You are the resolution, the solution, the growth, the expansion, the consciousness. You are. All that stuff out there, that's just things that are happening that we have no control over. But we want reason to everything. That's why I've told people, many clients, it's like someone cheated on them or someone broke their heart and betrayed them. And they want closure to that situation. But I ask a lot of times, is like, what would be a good enough closure? What is an excuse that someone who's hurt you so bad in life could give to you right now? And I'm asking you this, pile 3. Think of the worst thing that you've gone through in your life that someone else did to you. What is an excuse that they could present to you that would be good enough to bring closure to the situation where you accept it and say, like, oh, okay. There is none. There is none. There will never be one. Because the only thing that we can do is compare it to how we would have acted in that situation, or how we did act in that situation. So we're saying, well, I would have never done this to you. And so we're expecting them to come at it with our understanding of how we see the world, which they can't. So because of that contrast, there will never be a meeting of the minds in a situation where someone betrayed you like that, because in your mind, you will never be able to grasp or wrap your heart around the fact of how they showed up, even though that was how they felt they needed to show up in that time. It will never be a good enough reason. And that's what it feels like. It's interesting that we're talking about this, and that, like, all of a sudden Source wants to talk to you about this, but that's what I feel like. That's what the growth is for you here. There's something about embracing a deeper meaning to life and letting go of trying to seek meaning for every little thing. Why did the sparrow fly into your life today? Does there have to be a meaning for that? I'm not saying there is or there isn't. I'm just saying, does there have to be? Or are we seeking meaning so that we can accept that life is life and horrible things happen and really, really good things happen? Does there have to be a meaning to it all? Can't it just be this is the experience of life? It says consciousness is light. The crone has completed the circle of phases and perspectives pertaining to feminine consciousness. Maiden, mother, guardian, and crone. The lanterns hanging from the featured crone's wrist illuminate her world through the clarity of having integrated her spirit self with herself. She has successfully released all of the illusory filters that had created limiting effects on her mind and fed the unhelpful aspects of the ego. The white light of love that the crone is can now reach all that is within her periphery. Without judgment or expectation, she is now capable of objectively observing all with compassionate consideration and calm composure. Now I understand why Source wanted to talk about it. All matters in life are neutral. What a profound statement. All matters in life are neutral. Many are not conducive to the meaning and significance that we or others impulsively attach to them. What are you saying right now? That is exactly what I was talking about before I even started reading this to you, Pile 3. Let me read that line one more time. Many are not conducive to the meaning and significance that we or others impulsively attach to them. Right? There is no meaning. If we allow it just to be as it is, we let go of our attachment to needing it to mean something. Because meaning something only makes our ego feel better. It doesn't draw us closer to our consciousness and our spirit. When we view predicaments, when we view predicaments without emotion or the significance it holds for us, how things make sense beyond our personalization of them are illuminated. Wow. To separate ourselves from the drama, assumptions, and heightened emotions is to see rather than react according to the underlying dynamics at play. This affords us access to the empowered capacity to choose whether to participate in what is being triggered or projected onto a situation. The crone has shown up today to remind you that whenever you feel challenged in life, stop whatever you are doing to ask Spirit Self, what am I being invited to learn here? Each obstacle, moment of overwhelm, or hardship offers necessary and valuable lessons to evolve us beyond being a match to it. Any perceived mistake, wrong turn, or regret plays a part in your pathway to insight and liberation. Please be assured that each currently perceived negative is a presently unlit lantern and therefore an opportunity to see clearer. All that is needed for the light to be turned on so that the obstacle can be recognized as the positive lesson, tool, growth, insight, or gift that it is. You are always met with teachings and forms that matter whatever way you are available to receive them at that moment. Each teaching is necessary for your learning of another, better way in your progression. May you shine the light of your love into any lesson that holds a lingering negative charge for you until it transforms into a heartfelt gratitude for and recognition of its supporting role in your evolution. Love is the only place from which to observe, be in, reflect upon life. Proceed in the great neutralization, white light of love, where we may compassionately embrace all facets of ourselves and others. The crone's message is awareness expands as we clear the darkness with light. Clarity transforms our perception into lanterns of insight that can illuminate a way for others too. And as the train horn honks, it's absolutely beautiful. So I have the windows open. I think he's going to go one more time. Yeah, so that energy of rather than attaching a reason to it or whatever, even the lesson, just remembering that you are the lesson. The lesson becomes the resolution to whatever it is that you're going through, so that you can raise above that vibration and no longer have to face it in the way that you were facing it before, whether that's from a triggered state or from an unhealthy attachment or from whatever situation was a lower vibration. The lesson is the solution. It's not because you did something terrible or because you deserve this situation. There is no lesson because you were something wrong or you did something wrong in the past life or whatever it is. It's just, this is life unfolding in front of us, and each moment that unfolds in front of us, we're given an opportunity to react or respond. Reaction is letting our triggers run us, and response is allowing our spirit to evolve and come forth in our day-to-day life. We get to choose that at any moment. And so for you, pile 3, I feel like that's what's happening, is that this is more about the growth that's going on behind closed doors. Is success is coming into your life because now you're seeing situations that once had you wrapped up around their little finger. You're seeing them from a much higher perspective and for what it truly is. Okay, so what a powerful reading for you today, pile 3. Like, absolutely a really deep spiritual reading coming in today. This is what I see for you. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little swan emoji down below and say, I choose to accept both the light and the shadow that resides not only within myself, but in the world as well, with the understanding that I am the resolution and the solution. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. So with that, I'd like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this truly powerful message. And until next time, pile number 3, stay human. Bye.